afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Most of us are no stranger to financial issues. Study after study shows that many Americans face economic uncertainty when it comes to savings, debt, or even paying monthly bills. So on today's Money Monday, we're going to tackle the ABCs of investing. You don't need to have a lot of money to get started, but you do need to know how to find a trusted financial advisor and the basics of stocks, bonds, and cash. To learn more, we've called on Christine Moriarty of Bristol. Christine is a certified financial planner and the president of MoneyPiece. She's provided financial education to thousands of individuals and couples. Thanks so much for coming in.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks you for having me.
Sure. What's the biggest mistake people make when it comes to seeking financial advice?
They get someone because, oh, they're a nice guy, or my brother told me, or the person in the cubicle next to me told me to work with them. End of research.
And so why is that a bad thing?
Well, they don't know if it's a good fit for them. There's good fits. Just like your doctor, you want a good fit because personally you have a way of going about your investments and other people have a way about going about their investments. There's different amounts, different priorities, different styles, and that's what we need to know about our investment advisor. What's their background?
So what about the person who says, you know, I really don't even have any extra money to invest?
Don't turn off this TV show. Most people either have a 401k or 403b or a thrift plan through work, so they do have investments, or they have cash in the bank or an annuity or a life insurance policy. There's something that's there, or they can save money and they want to put it in the right place moving forward.
Well, for those folks who have 401ks, they probably think, well, I don't need to worry about it. It's my company's taking care of it for me.
Well, and your company's not, because you have choices of which investment to go to, and what those investments mean are really important to you. It's not just, is it doing well? It is it in the right investment for me?
And this should really be a priority for folks.
It is. Now, in reality, I know if I say, you know, it's like going to the dentist, did you brush and floss every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day? I know people aren't on it all the time, but once a year, you should really thoroughly review this, at least once a year. And that's not asking too much, considering it's our investment future and our financial future.
How do the ABCs of investing apply to the financial advisor that person chooses?
Well, I think the ABCs, first we have to say the qualifications of somebody. Often people see initials after a name and they're impressed. Look at that, look at all the initials. My question is, what do those initials mean? So let's look at the letters as up on the screen. A CFP is a certified financial planner. That's what I am. Certified means you had to have taken exams and passed a test. Anyone can be a FP, which would be financial planner. To be certified, you have to pass a series of exams. CFA, someone has passed exams. Certified financial analyst, just relating to financial numbers and investing. Whereas a financial planner has looked at estate planning, investments, employee benefits, cash flow. There's also the chartered financial analyst, and they have to also pass a test. There's the CPA, that's the accountant. The certified public accountant had to take a test to do that.
Right.
Where you could have a degree that's a BS, that's a Bachelor of Science, or a BA. Those could be in anything, meaning poli-sci or finance. I'm not saying they're not impressive, but you want to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
An MBA, I know I have an MBA. I did not study personal finance in my MBA. It was, so you really want to make sure it fits. And a PhD is a PhD, could be in anything. The numbers, the Series 6 and the Series 7, are exams that people take. And there's plenty more, but the Series 6 means I can sell financial products from companies. I can sell annuities or mutual funds.
So it looks like from this you should be looking for someone who's got the C in front of the other letters. And then like a Series 6 or a Series 7.
Well, Series 6 or Series 7, Series 6 just know that they're always going to recommend a financial product to you.
Okay.
Series 7 is they can sell stocks, bonds, mutual funds, they can sell anything. So just a Series 7 is a step up from a Series 6. And then there's all sorts of 66, 63, but just know those two are different.
Why and how do I research an advisor?
It's pretty easy. It's, the beginning is those conversations of talking to friends and family. The next step could be going to, there's FINRA, FINRA, but you can do broker check is what it's called. Just go to broker check online if you Google and check their history. The other ways is to call the associations of financial planning associations or NAFA, which is available to let you know that they're good, qualified people.
I was just going to say, is there any regulation with this?
There is regulation because if you pass those exams, you have to stay licensed. And that's why FINRA or the state, just call the state. They have listings of everyone who's passed the exams and if there's been any cases against them. I had someone tell me once that they had interviewed 2 different financial planners. The first one had switched jobs every 2 years, which is not a great sign right there. Over the course of 10 years, having 5 different employers, you must wonder what's going on. The second one had 2 cases against them. So they said, I kept looking.
Yeah, interesting. So what do we need to know? Because there are a lot of scam artists out there that we want to avoid. I mean, obviously, if you get an email saying, hey, let me be your financial planner, that might be a red flag.
And there's the things you want to avoid is not knowing who you're talking to or how deep. If anyone who promises high returns, then they're giving you something very extremely risky. Ask questions. That's the biggest thing I can say. And ask questions of not only that financial person, but whoever else is, that's an investment, might know something. Accountants,
who could you recommend?
Who could, not only who could you recommend, does this sound like a good idea?
And so what are some of the things, if you're talking to somebody sort of, weeding them out, if you will, what are some red flags do you think that you should look for?
Again, someone who's promised a lot of things, someone who's had a lot of job opportunities moved around, someone who is offering to sell you something that may not fit. So why I say that is I'm thinking of an older couple that I knew who their advisor said, I want to sell you some futures. Okay.
I don't even know what that means.
Right. Most people don't. But he was saying this will give you a great benefit and a great return. And they just kind of threw it out to me one day after a social event in town. And I said, I don't know you. I don't know your financial situation. I do know that you're a lot older than me. They were in their 70s. And I said, a future is really risky. I don't know if you want to risk all your money on that. And the wife said, I knew it. But the husband wanted to just buy it. So if you're a couple, there's often good reasons to balance out those decisions.
So you've introduced us to the alphabet surrounding professional financial advisors. What about the alphabet surrounding mutual funds?
Mutual funds are an investment product, and I want people to remind them of that. So it was a way of the investment companies to sell us stocks in an easier way for those of us who might only have $1,000 or $2,000 to put in. When you work with an investment person, which could be a broker, investment advisor is another unregulated term, so they make money from mutual funds sometimes. Sometimes they charge you money, but sometimes they make money through mutual funds. So let's talk about the ABCs of mutual funds.
Okay.
So on the screen you can see A means a front-end load. And what is a front-end load? It's simply a commission. So if I put in $100 into this mutual fund, they're going to charge me an amount, typically about $5.75. So that's where I'm paying for this free advisor. B is an ongoing B1 fee, which means that there's some money you're paying every single year, every single month, towards having that investment advisor give you information. Back-end load means I'm taking money out. So I'm taking $1,000 out. How much am I going to be charged when I take that out? D often is no load. And then there's a whole series of other letters. And some people might recognize the R from their retirement plans. What you just need to know is, how am I paying for these funds? Every mutual fund has a management fee because someone's managing it every day. So if you have a mutual fund, you may not need to pay someone to manage it on top of that every day because someone is watching it every day. And they're buying and selling, and that's a management fee, but the rest of the fees go to your advisor.
And so how does someone know his or her mutual fund or other investment and how they're doing?
Well, that's the big question, because so many people say to me, oh, I have Fidelity and they're doing well. And I'm like, there's more to it. There's the type of mutual fund you have, or the type of mutual fund within your 401k that's doing so well. So you need to measure it against the benchmarks. It's baseball season. There's benchmarks for baseball.
Right.
There's averages for everything in our well, there's average salaries for every career you can think of. This is the same what benchmarks are. So I think what I have done is just put up some benchmarks of 3 important returns that we can look at: stocks, bonds, and cash.
Okay.
Because every mutual fund is either a stock mutual fund, a bond mutual fund, a combination of the two. So mutual funds and stocks are pretty similar. What you want to do is compare what is the benchmark, what happened last year. So these are the benchmarks, and benchmark means, again, an average, something to compare against. The stocks, the S&P 500 has returned 5.9% to date. So 5.9% is the 500 largest companies in the country. That's the S&P standard. If your investment return has returned 4.9, is that good or bad?
I don't
Yeah, right. Most people don't know. So thank you, Judy.
I mean, if it's on the positive, I'm thinking it's good.
Right. So I'd say, hey, it's 1%. If you have large company stocks, it's 1% worse than the S&P did. Does that mean you changed? Not necessarily. You ask questions. Well, if I'm paying my advisor 1% a year, then it's a perfect match. I did get what I wanted. If this is, I don't want to be too risky, good match. It's not that bad to be within 1%. Don't just throw out the baby with the bathwater.
I think it's not what a lot of people do, though, is you have to be in it for the long term, really.
Right. It's not the short-term results. And a lot of new, you asked at the beginning, advisors will say, oh, you only got 4.9. I can get you 6, or 7. That's what I did now. Look for the long term. The same with the bond returns. Bond returns are typically more conservative. You're putting it in slower rate. You can see here it's at 3.45.
Not as volatile.
Not as volatile. This is good. These are all different types of bonds. I just took the aggregate. That's why I put that on the screen that you can see. If you did 5.6, that's great.
Yep.
But are you in riskier bonds? Or is it just that it worked out better?
Right. And that's something that you have to consider, too, as far as, what you're comfortable with investing your money in.
Absolutely. Because if you are going to put it in stocks because you want to make a high return, but you're going to be so nervous the whole time, your quality of life is out the window. And it's all about quality of life. That's why we are saving this money, Judy.
Right. You don't want to be watching the stock returns every day going, oh, no.
Right. And I caution anyone to be extreme, to say, I'm putting all my money in the bank. Well, that might not be the best philosophy. I'm putting all my money in high risk. That's not a good philosophy. Find the one in the middle that works.
It has to be sort of a mix of all of that.
Exactly.
So we've got a couple of minutes left. What are the key things that you want viewers to take away from this program today?
The biggest one is ask questions. However, those categories of asking questions is just what we talked about. Who's your advisor and what's their background? And then how are you paying them? Through mutual fund fees, through a flat fee, through a commission? What is it? How do they get paid, and how are you paying them? And then how do my investments compare to the benchmarks? That's a legitimate question to ask your advisor. So please ask questions across the board, and don't be afraid, because this is something I do every day. And I'm always asking questions because there's always more to learn. So do not be afraid. Education on investments is really important.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. We're going to see you again next month for another edition of Money Monday. To find things I can learn about my finances. In the meantime, if you have any questions for Christine, you can find her online at moneypiece.com, or you can call her toll free at 888-449-8081. Once again, Christine will be back with us next month for another Money Monday. Always important to keep track of where your finances are going.
Right, and we'll make it fun too.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.